Before we get into today's show, let me tell you about the latest deal from Mike Lindell, MyPillow. Once again, the big box stores have canceled their orders simply because they don't agree with Mike Lindell's politics. They don't like it because he supports President Trump. Well, he's going to pass that savings on to you. No more middleman. And boy, does he have some great deals on the Giza Dream sheets and the Percal bed sheets. Listen to this. Giza Dream queen size, normally $139.98. Your wholesale price, $69.99 when you use promo code Joey. King size, only $79.99. The Percal queen size, normally $89.98. Your wholesale price, $29.98 when you use promo code Joey. Just call 1-800-893-4059 or go to MyPillow.com. Always use promo code Joey. Free shipping options available. This allotment's not going to last very long. When they're gone, they're gone. MyPillow.com, promo code Joey. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition Studios. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. Welcome in. Glad to have you as we wrap up another week. The White House Correspondents' dinner shooting suspect, Cole Allen, is making probably one of the most absurd arguments for why he should walk free without any consequences, despite an attempt to assassinate the President of the United States. We have the latest in this. A baseball fan learned the hard way that you don't take a baseball away from a kid. Fans are crucifying a Cleveland businessman who snatched a ball from an 11-year-old after a home run was hit. South Carolina Representative John McCravy joins us with an update of what's happening in the state legislature in these final couple of weeks. And Lieutenant Governor Pamela Evans is with us, and we'll get the whole story on why she was uninvited to give the commencement address at South Carolina State University. And she'll talk to about her visit to Greek King Charles at the White House this week as well. It's a busy one, so let's get started.
I told you we'd be back.
And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
It's Joey Hudson.
I wanted to name it the Joey Hudson bill, but, they don't allow you to put names on bills. But I wanted to call it the Joey Hudson bill because I know that one's been near and dear to you for a number of years.
That's how it's done. Let your voice be heard.
And the truth shall set you free.
Here's Joey Hudson.
So the lawyer for White House Correspondents' dinner shooting suspect, Cole Allen, gave probably one of the most absurd arguments of why the Caltech grad should be allowed to walk free pending trial, trying to get him out on bail, claiming that he, quote, was not a danger to anybody, despite the charges that he tried to assassinate President Trump or was there to do so, and maybe other top Trump officials. And this, of course, is according to his own manifesto. Defense attorneys claim that Mr. Allen, he's 31 years old, was not prepared to carry out a mass shooting in the room where President Trump, First Lady Melania Trump, most of the top members of the administration, not to mention all of the national media. And the reason that he said that he wasn't prepared for a mass shooting was because he had only a pump-action shotgun. He just had a pump-action shotgun. How many does a shotgun hold? How many, maybe 6 or 8 rounds? In an 11-page filing, he wrote, Mr. Allen has no criminal history, not even prior arrest, which alone would rebut the presumption of detention. The government's rhetoric about a mass shooting is also unsupported by its own facts. Mr. Allen was not alleged to be holding an automatic or even semi-automatic weapon that are the hallmarks of the modern-day mass shooting. Now, what he had was a loaded 12-gauge Mossberg Maverick shotgun with an extended magazine tube when he tried to barge through Secret Service checkpoint. Did you see the latest video? There was a new video that was released by I keep wanting to call her Judge Janine. She's U.S. Attorney Janine Pirro, that was taken from a different angle. It's high quality. You can see him running towards the metal detector, running right through it, holding the rifle or the shotgun. Prosecutors also released a selfie that he took with him heavily armed, including a .38 super caliber semi-automatic handgun and multiple knives. But no, if you believe his attorney, he didn't go there prepared for mass killings. Now, you got to remember, shotguns have been used in multiple mass shootings. Columbine, for example, in the Aurora Theater shooting in 2012. In 2018, Santa Fe, Texas, in a high school shooting there. Because you can do a lot of damage with a shotgun, and especially one with an extended magazine like this. Again, I don't know how many rounds it held, the one he had, but still, you can easily reload if you got enough time. Now, during a brief hearing yesterday, his defense attorney did reverse course a bit, saying, at this time, we're conceding detention, basically saying, okay, we're not going to argue the point anymore. We concede that he should stay in jail. Now, look, I think it's probably safer for him to be in prison, don't you? Because I got a feeling that he probably doesn't want to be out in the public, because there's probably some people out there who would like to see him eliminated for what he attempted to do. The defense attorney says that they still may raise the issue of bail at a later date. The attorney asked Magistrate Judge Maxilla Upadhyaya to have Allen removed from the safe cell where he's been since the shooting, where he's been on 24-hour lockdown. The attorney insisted again that Allen, who, again, allegedly blew past Secret Service agents while armed to the teeth, was not a danger to anybody. Allen walked into the courtroom in the D.C. federal court wearing an orange jumpsuit, orange canvas shoes, with his hands behind his back. He only spoke briefly and softly, saying good morning to the judge. Now, Prosecutor Charles Jones pressed the judge to let him make arguments for why Allen should remain locked up until trial. But an irritated judge said it was inefficient to hear the government's case for Allen to be jailed now when the defense wasn't fighting it, since they might have to make the same arguments again down the line if Allen's team tries to come back to seek bail. They conceded they would not seek bail after the absurd filings that they handed in initially, that he wasn't there to do mass killing. The judge said, I'm denying the government's request. It's really unprecedented. And again, in the papers that were filed Wednesday for yesterday's hearing, Allen's team argued that he previously had been a respected member of his community. They wrote, he is a devout Christian who has spent countless hours with church groups for as long as family and friends can remember. He is a loved and respected teacher and colleague who has always demonstrated kindness, empathy, and compassion, and never violence. Now, you can say the same thing about some serial killers. A lot of serial killers have historically just blended in with the community. Nobody ever suspected them of being capable of killing, but they did. A lot of mass shooters in the past have been the same thing, although in some cases they've maybe been a little odd, a little maybe more private, or not as outgoing, a little more introverted. But regardless, it doesn't matter how you were acting last week or last month or last year. If you storm the Hilton knowing the President of the United States and most of his cabinet is upstairs in the ballroom, and you come running through the lobby, through the metal detector with a shotgun, you're dangerous, right? Am I missing something here? Text me. Email me, joe@joeyhudson.com. Leave me a message on the MyPillow message line, 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Always use promo code Joey when you go to MyPillow.com, and you get the very best deal on a lot of items. Just click on the radio special box and see what Mike Lindell has to offer. Now, they also disputed federal prosecutors' claims that the shooting was intended to target the president based on a manifesto the accused shooter sent out. In the note, which was first reported by the New York Post, I shared it with you on this show. You can see it on my YouTube channel as well. Just go to YouTube, search for Joey Hudson, Just the Truth. I've got a full report of the manifesto, everything that was in the manifesto. And he was there with intentions of harming people. There's no doubt about what his own writing has to say. Prosecutors, of course, have argued for his detention before heading to trial on charges of attempting to assassinate Trump, traveling across state lines with a firearm to commit a felony, and discharging a firearm during a crime of violence. And again, photos released to the court yesterday by the prosecution show this young man taking a chilling selfie in the mirror of his room at the Washington Hilton before heading down and attempting to breach a security checkpoint. He knew what he was there to do. Fortunately, there was just a few Secret Service agents standing in his way. He has not offered a plea yet in the case. It's a new year. It's time for a new custom home that may fit your needs. Maybe you have that lake lot or family property that your mom and dad left you and you want to build. Well, go to americashomeplace.com to see a sample of custom homes that you can build on your own land. Build now with America's Home Place. They make it so easy for you. Now's the time to build. Make the dream of building your new home on your land a reality. America's Home Place walks you through every step of the custom home building process. They have lower interest rates that can help you with the financing, and they have many, many floor plans for you. When you go to americashomeplace.com, if you don't see something that will work for you, you can rest assured they can make some changes to just about any plan on their site. So again, now's the time to build. Make the dream of building a new home on your land a reality, and take that step to get a custom home built on your property, and then make the process easy. They'll meet with you in person, over the phone, video call, however's easy for you to make sure that you get your home plan and get underway. The summer's a great time to do it. Go to americashomeplace.com. You don't have a weight problem. You have a body that's in survival mode, and no medication, crash diet, or app is going to fix that. Joey Hudson here. Ozempic, Wegovy. These GLP-1 drugs are exploding in popularity, and for some, they're a useful tool, but they don't address why your body started storing fat in the first place. At PhD Weight Loss, they treat the unwanted weight as a symptom, a signal that your metabolism, hormones, and stress response need some attention. When they correct those, the weight comes off naturally, and more importantly, it stays off. Because they're not just helping you lose weight, they're helping you increase health span and extend longevity. Right now, call PhD Weight Loss and mention Joey Hudson. You'll get 2 weeks free in the program, and they'll pay for your food. That's a $1,500 value, completely free. Call 864-644-1900. Do it right now. Mention Joey Hudson. Again, that's 864-644-1900, or go to myphdweightloss.com. No more guessing, no more short-term fixes, just a smarter way forward. So what would you do if you caught a home run ball at a major league game and realized seconds later you just took it from a kid? That's exactly what happened in Cleveland. And now one fan is learning the hard way. The internet never forgets. The story's blowing up across social media, and it's one of those moments that's hit a nerve because it's not just about baseball, it's about character. Here's the story. During a game at Progressive Field, a home run ball comes flying into the stands, hit by Guardians player Daniel Schneemann. Now, this should be one of those magical moments, right? A kid gets a souvenir, a lifelong memory, but instead what unfolds is something very different. The video captured on the Tampa Bay Rays broadcast shows a man identified as Max Quinn going after the ball. He bobbles it, drops it nearby, and that's when an 11-year-old girl named Evelyn comes down the steps, clearly trying to grab it. But before she can, Quinn runs over, reaches in, grabs it, takes the ball right out from under her. Roll the tape.
Hit pretty well to left. And gone. Daniel Schneemann, his 4th home run of the year, and it's the Guardians that score first.
Oh, clank.
No, he's not going to steal that.
Yeah, that can't happen.
Well, when you see something wrong has occurred, it's nice to make up for it. And Ryan Bass making up for that Cleveland fan by going out making friends, and she deserves that baseball.
What a guy. What a guy.
Look at that.
She's good. Yeah, she's crying.
She looks emotional.
Yeah.
With her sunglasses on. Mom giving a hug. What a sweet moment. Way to go, Ryan.
That's phenomenal.
Yes, it is.
Now
They didn't show because we'd gone to break. The boy, who I imagine is her brother, had gone up to that fan.
Yeah.
And it looked like he was asking the fan, "Can we give that to my sister?"
Reconsider? And yeah, you know what? It was an interaction that was uncomfortable to watch.
It was.
You felt embarrassed for the guy.
And look, the brother's happy. He gets to hold the baseball, and she's overcome. And who can blame her? So it went from a bad moment to, I think, a pretty happy memory.
Now, here's where that moment really struck people. The girl's younger brother, pretty brave kid, goes up and asks for the ball back. Quinn clearly says no, flat out, no. Now, look, in the heat of the moment, people do things they regret. I get that. We all done it, and Quinn admits it too. He later said it was a bad decision, actually a series of bad decisions, he said. He claims he didn't realize it was a child going for the ball, said all he saw was a glove reaching out. But here's the thing. Once the moment passed, the reality set in. He said he was sitting in his seat thinking, I won't be able to sleep if I don't give the ball back. Now, to his credit, he did return the ball, but not right away. It took several innings, and by then, the damage was done, because in today's world, everything is on camera and everything goes viral pretty quickly. Within hours, this guy wasn't just a fan at a baseball game. He became the villain of the internet. His business, Uncover Vintage, was flooded with one-star reviews. He says he received threats, had to delete his social media accounts, and he described the internet as a mean, scary place. And here's where this story takes another turn. The 11-year-old girl, Evelyn, she forgave him. She offered some grace. In a recorded message, she actually thanked him for giving the ball back and said she hopes others will forgive him too. On our guest line today, Representative John McCravy from Greenwood. Welcome. You guys are in the last couple of weeks of the session. Let's talk about some of the key issues that you're watching and some of the things that you feel like that you really need to address before you guys adjourn.
Yes, sir. Well, it's a frenetic pace from now till the end, but we passed several bills this week, and we're looking at several big bills that we passed and sent over to the Senate in the last year or two, and that haven't been addressed. And so I tell you, this week we banned something called foreign influence in our higher education. And we've seen more and more that China and certain adversaries of ours and terrorist entities, things linked with terrorist entities, have been spending money in our schools. And we know why they're doing that. So we want to restrict that, and we want to watch out for that. So this bill requires any South Carolina state college or university to report that, first of all, and it bans certain gifts and funding of schools. And we believe this is important to our national security and all in South Carolina, so and our state. We passed that by a large margin this week. We also passed another big bill we call it DOT reform. Mm-hmm. And this bill came over from the Senate. They had their ideas. They had some tax raises. We took those out. They had some other things that were taken out, but generally, what this bill does is centralizes. It takes the power away from this antiquated commission, DOT commission, and then there was another. There were actually two commissions and boards that were over all the decisions that had to be made. So what this bill does. It strips those away, it takes those out, and it makes it a cabinet-level position that reports to the governor. Mm-hmm. We found that works the best, and it also cuts down on regulations. It cuts down on different things that can speed up these projects, these road projects that we have. You know, it's not so much the money, in my opinion. It's the procedures, and then it's finding the contractors and working with them. So we're trying to speed all that up.
Yeah.
I think it's a good bill overall, but no new taxes in it, and it's got a special pothole program now that's going to be streamlined. If anybody reports a pothole, that's going to be fixed immediately. And it also gives more money to the CTCs, which is the local counties that can allocate some of this money. It also makes them a little bit more accountable. You know, the person has to live in the same district they're giving the money out of, you know, same county. So that's important.
Yep.
And it also adds some ethics to that process. So we feel like it's a good bill. We feel like it's all we can do to streamline it. We think the money's there to fix the roads. And when I go out and I walk like I've been doing and knocking on doors lately, you know, my constituents, this is one of their number one complaints is the roads.
Yep.
So we need to keep working on that until we get it right. And I agree with that.
Yeah. Well, it is a big issue, and you're right. I mean, I've been to a number of forums over the last couple of months, moderating them, and roads, and everybody's asking the question. Well, you know, all the sales tax money that was increased over a period of years, you know, where's it going? We were told that was going to fix our roads, and nobody thinks that we've made any progress with that. So, and with me today, Representative John McCravy from House District 13 in Greenwood. So when you're knocking on the door and one of your constituents comes and you're talking to them and they ask you that question, you know, as far as like the gas tax, where that money goes, do you feel like it is being spent wisely, or will this kind of fix some of that?
Well, I know it has. I know it's been spent wisely because you can look at the roads that have been fixed. I mean, there's a list of probably 50 roads in Greenwood County that have been completely repaved since that gas tax was put on there. So that may be an exaggeration, but, you know, certainly they're not perfect.
Yeah.
And we need to keep working on them. And what bothers me is we need to stop, and I've said this over and over again, we don't need any new roads until we fix the roads that we already have.
Yeah.
So, you know, we keep getting these proposals for these huge highways, and they want to take the money and use it for that. I say, look, I mean, widen the lane on the interstate. Okay, that helps. Relieving congestion in areas, that helps. But let's don't just add to the 46,000 miles of roads we already have in South Carolina. We've got the fourth most highway miles of roads in the nation, and we're nowhere close to the fourth biggest geographical state. So we got a lot of roads to maintain and fix. And, you know, really it's not the roads as much anymore as it is the bridges.
Yeah.
I've listened to our timber industry. They have to go around a lot of places because they can't go over the bridge because it's too old and it won't hold the weight. It costs them money, and they're in a low margin business right now. So we've got to fix these bridges, and they don't need to be out for 2 or 3 years when one goes out.
Yeah.
So we're working on it. We're doing the best we can. And I think it's better to get rid of these boards and commissions that have been there for years and years, and go make it a cabinet position under the governor, and then he can remove somebody if they're not doing their job.
Yeah,
and that's the way it needs to be.
Yeah. Well, and that's been in response in some of the gubernatorial debates and forums that I've been involved in. Some of the candidates say they're going to have a road czar if they're elected. So it'll be interesting to watch. All right, so tell us where we are, because, again, we're in the final couple of weeks, which if there's 2 weeks left, that means you have, 6, 7, 8 working days?
That's right. So the Senate is looking at a lot of bills that we've sent over there, and you know, they've got a lot of tort reform bills that we've tried to follow up on the liquor liability bills that we had. We sent those over there. They're waiting on the Senate. You know, the DEI bill we sent last year to the Senate, getting DEI out of our education, out of our government in South Carolina. You know, that stuff's got to go. That was the Biden era stuff. And we don't need discrimination built into our agencies and our schools.
Yeah.
Also, parental rights. That's probably the biggest thing we've passed that the Senate has not touched. And you know, I don't understand that, but what it did, it established a parent's bill of rights, but part of that is, you know, right now in South Carolina, if you have a dependent 16-year-old child, you can't get their medical records as their parent unless they give you permission.
Wow.
That's wrong. And we've run into that. I've run into that. I didn't believe it when I first found out about it last year or 2 years ago, but it's true.
Yeah.
And so that needs to be changed. That bill changes that. As long as they're dependent, you can get their medical records. And then also in schools, we need transparency in schools. So parents need access to the curriculum, to the materials, and that is also sitting in the Senate. And why, I don't know, but requiring a school, and I'm education friendly. I know what teachers go through. This is not a burden. All it does is say, this is the curriculum that we're going to be teaching your child. And right now, there's no requirement that be disclosed to parents.
Yeah.
And so, we had a situation in my area where we had a controversial thing that was in a 7th grade book. And, I talked to the teacher. They didn't know it was in there. They didn't like it. They were aggravated that we would have LGBTQ propaganda and climate change propaganda. So they didn't like it. The principal didn't like it. Our District 50 superintendent did not like it, and they took it out. It was approved by the state. So who caught that? It wasn't the state board. It wasn't the curriculum committee at the state. It wasn't our district. It wasn't our principal. It wasn't even our teacher.
Yeah.
So the parent caught it, and that's who we need to enable, because there are some parents who will be diligent and go through that material to make sure it's fit to be read.
Yeah.
So that's what we need. We need more of that. We need transparency. We need that in our schools.
Yeah.
So these are just some of the things that are there in the Senate. We hope they get to. Also, we took up the kratom bill and have now restricted the 2 active chemicals that get you completely dependent. This stuff is, I don't know if you've ever heard of kratom, Joey, but this product is now being sold in a lot of gas stations, and they're calling it gas station heroin.
Yeah.
And it's highly addictive. We heard from 2 toxicologists. This stuff is highly addictive. It's as addictive as opioids, and it acts as an opioid in some ways. It depresses your breathing. It can kill you if you take it with other drugs. It's also, the withdrawal was described as being like heroin. So please, everybody out there, do not mess with this kratom stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, it is hot. It has no medical use whatsoever. It's just a bad news thing. So we were able to ban it in the House, and it's going over to the Senate. Most people hadn't even heard of it, and they started selling it all over the place.
Yeah, you see it at these convenience stores, and I mean, it's a nightmare for parents. You're hearing of kids getting sick. You hear kids dying of it. So you're right. It is. That's something we just need to get out of the state altogether for sure. Representative John McCravy, it's always a pleasure. And I know it's going to be a busy couple of weeks as you guys are trying to wrap this session up and get some of these things across the finish line. Appreciate what you do. And, hey, we'll check in back with you next week and see what progress you made.
Thank you, my friend. It's always great to talk to you.
Your comments are welcome on the Furman Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. That's 864-477-5639. Email's always welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. Speaking of the Furman Ford text line, it's never been more important to support locally run businesses owned by people who actually live here in the upstate. Let me take a minute to talk with you about our friends at Furman Ford. If you're looking for a new vehicle, maybe a great pre-owned vehicle, one you can trust, or maybe you're looking to order that special vehicle. Either way, if you want a new one, a brand new one, or a pre-owned that you can trust, the folks at Furman Ford, they're there to help you. Their name is on the sign because their name is on the line, because every single transaction is important to them. Jim Furman, Matthew Furman, they do business the right way. When you stop by, when you give them a call, or maybe when you just send them a quick email, you're always going to have access to a member of the Furman Ford family. And by the way, they also offer great service, and you're not going to have to wait weeks and weeks to get it done. And you do not have had to purchase your vehicle at Furman Ford. Doesn't even have to be a Ford. They service all makes and models. Visit my friends at Furman Ford online at furmanford.com, furmanford.com. Joining me on our guest line, Lieutenant Governor Pamela Evett. Welcome. How are you?
I'm doing well, Joey. How are you?
I am wonderful. So you're back from Washington after greeting the king and queen, huh?
It was wonderful. It was wonderful. And our president, as always, giving very humorous remarks, talking about how his mother was a tough Scot and how she loved the Queen and how she had a crush on Prince Charles. And so he said how proud his mother must be looking down, seeing them sharing the stage. And it was true President Trump fashion, being very witty and, engaging the crowd and everybody chuckling. But it was such an honor to be there and see them inspecting our military and walking around together. And as always, our First Lady looking so regal.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what an honor to have been invited by the president to be there. So it had to be a great experience. Now, you've had a pretty busy week. An eventful week. We learned that you'd been invited to speak at the South Carolina State University commencement. Students protested, and now you're not going to speak. Walk us through this. I guess you received the invitation from the school administration back in December?
Back in December, never made it a political thing. I've spoken at a numerous commencement addresses across the state over the last 8 years. Was honored to go. And, the governor and I, we have been very supportive of our historically black colleges and universities, just as the president has. And so I was in Washington and was shocked to learn about, kind of these events that were happening. And and it was really off-putting. Everybody knows my stance. I am pro-life. I am pro-President Trump. I am anti-DEI. And so nothing had changed. And so what was the new thing that caused this ruckus to happen? And it kept escalating. And it was, I guess I understood it started with a Facebook protest and then went to a protest on the campus and then a sit-in and then a night protest. And I thought, what is happening? We saw this happen. We see it happen from California to New York, right?
Yeah.
We saw where Charlie Kirk, how he was treated on college campuses because he had a conservative view. And then we saw Riley Gaines, remember when she got chased into a classroom or a closet and was basically held there for hours. We've seen Ben Shapiro, who has been, because of safety reasons, not able to go onto a campus. And so yesterday, the college reached out to our office and basically said that there were credible safety threats and would have to rescind the invitation because they didn't feel it was safe.
Yeah.
So it's very sad. It's very sad that leadership was not able to sit down with these young adults who are graduating and give them real facts and say, you've been misguided. And that has been, Joey, my point since the Charlie Kirk assassination is that these college professors indoctrinate these kids.
Yep.
And they don't tell them true facts. And they get scared to death when somebody is going to come on a campus. And my speeches are never political, Joey, ever. My speeches are always like, my grandparents were immigrants and my dad was a tool and die maker and my brothers and I were the first generation to go to college and get a degree. And I feel so blessed to be an American. And the fact that if you work, my dad used to tell us, if you work hard and you're the best at what you do, you will accelerate in anything and excel in anything you do.
Yeah.
And so that's always the message of hope I give young graduates is work hard, do good, aim higher. And I don't know why that was going to be such a terrible message to deliver.
Wow. Well, it's just unfortunate because they're the real loser. Those young men and women who will miss that. All right, changing gears here, and Lieutenant Governor Pamela Abbott is with me today. The U.S. Supreme Court handed a huge victory to states yesterday when they decided to limit the use of race in congressional district maps. Now, Mississippi Governor Tate Reeves is already calling a special session of the state legislature to begin work on redrawing their districts. What conversations have you and Governor McMaster had? Is there a chance that there could be a special session in South Carolina, or is this something that will just wait till the regular session starts back in January?
Well, I'll see the governor today. But, you know, I think the Supreme Court ruling has opened the way for this. And, you know, we saw what happened in Virginia. And I think kind of like what we just talked about with what happened at SC State, let's go back to the beginning, right? Like everybody, let's go back to the beginning of Democrats have been really fixing these districts so that they can get a competitive advantage in blue states. I mean, look at Massachusetts. Look at now what's happened in Virginia.
Yeah.
President Trump brought this all to light. You know, he was looking at states like Chicago and Massachusetts initially and saying, look at how this is. 40-some% of your state are Republicans, and there's one like House rep that's representing you. That's not right.
Yeah.
So when he brought that to light, instead of blue states are doing it, then by God, red states should do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then he became the bad guy. It's like, how come when you call out bad, everything twists around and tries to make you the bad guy? And so, and then we saw what happened in Virginia. And so, hey, let's just make it fair. Let's take it back to the people. Let's give them the representation that they want. And I think you're going to see, again, with the Supreme Court ruling, a lot of red states saying, yeah, this is great. Let's go and fix. I know we're seeing it in Florida. We're seeing it with Governor Reeves. And we'll see with the governor what he will do. Will he ask the General Assembly to come back in and handle it? I know that they are like eyeball deep in everything they're trying to get done here before the end of session.
Yeah.
But we have a really important election coming up. And we got to do whatever we can to make sure that we give President Trump the Congress he needs to continue to move our country forward. Because I am really fearful of what November could bring if we don't get Republicans out to vote in record numbers. I mean, all the progress we've made over the last 2 years with President Trump will continue to try to be unspun and unfolded.
Yep. Oh, yeah. They'll try to just undo everything that President Trump has accomplished in this term for sure. Well, it is a big win. I think we're to see some changes in the next couple of years, especially between now and 2028. So that's the good news for sure. Lieutenant Governor Pam Leavitt, always a pleasure, and we'll talk again soon.
Well, Joey, it's always good to talk to you and be heard by your listeners. I hope you all have a great end of the week and a wonderful weekend.
That's it for today's edition of Just the Truth. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition Studio. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. If you haven't joined our mailing list yet, visit my website, joeyhudson.com. Just click on the Connect with Joey button so that you can receive our emails and the most up-to-date news. Also, find me on YouTube. Be sure and like, subscribe, follow me on my YouTube channel. Just search for Joey Hudson. Appreciate you spending a few minutes of your day with me. Be sure and forward this edition of Just the Truth to some friends. Just click on the share button. Send it to a few of your contacts, because if we're going to build our community and if we're going to win in November, we got to build an army of conservatives. The way we beat Joe Biden is through educating people, and no better way than encouraging them to listen to Just the Truth. Hey, keep those comments coming via the Furman Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Your emails always welcome as well. Joey@joeyhudson.com. Don't forget to take advantage of the MyPillow special, $25 for the My Towels 6-piece towel set when you use promo code Joey. Just go to mypillow.com.